Have you heard the latest about Jesus? Married to Magdalene. Okay, these are some of the things that are out there. Just be clear, I'm not endorsing this, but Jesus married to Mary Magdalene. She's a named character in the New Testament Gospels. The story is he had children with her. And this, of course, has been promoted by the fantastic plotline of Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code. How many have heard of that? Da Vinci, okay, it looks like more than half have heard of this. Okay, this is a number of years ago, maybe a little before your time, but this was such a major international hit novel, got translated into dozens of languages, tens of millions of copies sold. And this novel claims that Jesus married Mary Magdalene, that they had children, and further that the descendants from Jesus became kings of France. And what's interesting is that this plotline existed before Dan Brown's novel. When I was researching my book, Familiar Stranger, I encountered a book called Holy Blood, Holy Grail. I'll show you a picture of the cover and one of the co-authors of that in a minute. But this particular book laid that out, and I thought, this is so ridiculous, I don't think I'm even going to discuss it in my chapter on pseudo-scholarship on Jesus. I thought, this is so ridiculous. And then the novel comes out and people are actually believing this, right? Because Dan Brown has a comment in the preface to his novel, everything in this novel is based on fact. I mean, there's ridiculous stuff in the Da Vinci Code. It says, for example, no one believed in the divinity of Jesus till the time of Constantine, like 300 years after Jesus' life, and then they started worshiping him. Well, the very first evidence we have is from Pliny's letter to Trajan, the Roman emperor, and it speaks of how Christians gathered before dawn, they worshiped and prayed to Jesus. In Latin, it says quasi Deo, it says as to God. That's the very first indication we have in any historical record of the Christian community outside of the New Testament. And guess what? They are worshiping Jesus. So anyway, there's just a lot that's very ridiculous. It's a great attention-getting plotline for a novel. It's just very bad history.